Hello everyone! Today I'm going to read you a story. Now, I have my story sack. Let's have a look inside and see what our story might be about. Let's have a look. What's the first thing? What's this? I think you're right. It's a shoe. I wonder what this could be used for in our story. Let's have a look for the next thing. Are you ready? What's this? It's long. It's got a point on the end. I think this one might be tricky. Do you know what it is? Almost. It's not a scarf. It's a tie. What could our story need a tie for? There's still some more things in my story sack. Let's have a look. Let's look at this one. It's very long and it's got a buckle on the end. Do you know what it is? You're right, it's a belt. These are odd things to have in a story. And there's one more thing, two more things in my story sack. Ready? Have a look. What's this? Have a closer look. It's got 1, 2 sleeves and some buttons down the front. You're right, it's a shirt. A shirt, a belt, a tie and a shoe, all for one story. What a strange story it's going to be. There's one more thing. Are you ready? What's this? You're right, it's a sock. Now, all of these things are in our story. Do you know what story I'm going to read you? Let's have a look. Can you guess? It's the smartest giant in town. Shall we have a read? Are you ready? I know I am. George was a giant, the scruffiest giant in town. He always wore the same pair of old round sandals and the same old patch-up gown. I wish I wasn't the scruffiest giant in town, he said. But one day, George noticed a new shop and it was full of smart clothes. So he brought a shirt, a smart pair of trousers, a smart belt, a smart stripy tie, some smart socks with diamonds at the sides, and a pair of smart shiny shoes. Now I'm the smartest giant in town, said George. Look, here are some of our objects. There's a belt, just like ours, a tie, like this one, a sock, a shoe, and a shirt. I wonder what's going to happen next. George left his old clothes behind in the shop. He was about to go home when he heard a sound. On the pavement stood a giraffe who was sniffling sadly. Whatever's the matter? Asked George. It's my neck, said the giraffe. It's so very long and so very cold. I wish I had a long, warm scarf. What do you think's going to happen next? Cheer up, said George. He took off his stripy tie. It didn't match my socks anyway, he said, as he wound it around and round the giraffe's long neck. It made a wonderful scarf. Thank you, said the giraffe. As George strode towards home, he sang to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to the river, and on the boat stood a goat. He was bleating loudly. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's my sail," said the goat. "It blew away in a storm. I wish I had a strong new sail for my boat." "Do you know which of our clothing would make a good sail?" "We've already used the tie." Shall we read on? "Were you right?" "Cheer up," said George. He took off his new white shirt. "It kept coming untucked anyway," he said, as he tied it to the mast of the goat's sail. It made a magnificent sail. "Thank you," said the goat. George strode on, singing to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." Have a look. Do you think George still looks smart? George came to a tiny ruined house. Beside the house stood a white mouse with lots of baby mice. They were all squeaking. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's our house," squeaked the mouse. "It burned down and now we have nowhere to live. I wish we had a nice new house." Do you know what George is going to give them? Let's have a look. "Cheer up," said George. He took off one of his shiny new shoes. "It was giving me blisters anyway," he said. As the mouse and her baby scrambled inside, the shoe made a perfect home for them. "Thank you," they squeaked. George had to hop along the road now, but he didn't mind. As he hopped, he sang to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat for a sail for a goat, my shoe is a house for a little white mouse, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." Can you do some hopping like George? I bet you're very good. George came to a campsite. Beside a tent stood a fox who was crying. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's my sleeping bag," said the fox. "I dropped it in a puddle. I wish I had a dry, warm sleeping bag." Do you know what George is going to give him? "Cheer up," said George, and he took off one of his socks with the diamonds at the side. "It was tickling my toes," he said. As the fox snuggled into it, it made a fine sleeping bag. "Thank you," said the fox. George hopped on, singing to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat for a sail for a goat, my shoe is a house for a little white mouse, but look me, one of my socks is a bed for a fox. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a big, squelchy bog. Beside the bog stood a dog who was howling. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's this bog," said the dog. "I need to get across, but I keep getting stuck in the mud. I wish there's a way to have a safe, dry path." I wonder what George will use. "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his smart new belt. "It was squashing my tummy anyway," he said, as he laid it down over the bog. It made an excellent path. "Thank you," said the dog. The wind started to blow, but George didn't mind. He hopped on, singing to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat, my shoe is a house for a little white mouse, and one of my socks is a bed for a fox. My belt helped a dog who was crossing the bog, but..." Do you think he's still the smartest giant in town? Let's find out. "My fat trousers are falling down, and I'm the coldest giant in town." Suddenly, George felt sad and shivery and not at all smart. He stood on one foot and thought, I'll have to go back to the shop and buy some more clothes, he decided. He turned around and hopped all the way back to the shop. Look, it's ever such a long way. Poor George. But when he got there, it was closed. Oh no, cried George. He sank down to the doorstep, and a tear ran down his nose. He felt as sad as all the animals he had met on the way home. But then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw a bag with something familiar poking out of the top. George took a closer look. My gown, he yelled, my dear old gown and sandals. George put them on. They felt wonderfully comfortable. And the cosiest giant in town, he cried, and he danced back home along the road. Outside his front door stood all of the animals he had helped. They were all carrying an enormous present. I wonder what's inside. Come on, George, they said. Open it, open it. George untied the ribbon. Inside was a beautiful gold paper crown and card. Look inside the card, George, said the animals. George put the crown on his head and opened the card. Inside it said, your tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, your shirt's in a boat for a sailor for a goat, your shoe is a house for a little white mouse, one of your socks is a bed for a fox, your boat helped a dog who was crossing a bog. So here is your very fine crown to go with your sandals and your gown, for one of the kindest giants in town. The end. I really enjoyed that story. I hope you did too. I'll see you soon.